In light of all of the big snow we've been seeing in some snow squall regions in Ontario as of late, Iris sent this great shot in from Orillia. That, I think, is supposed to be a sidewalk. Look at the snow banks, and you get to the point where you don't even have any room to put the snow anywhere anymore, right? Be it by hand or with the snow blowers. But nevertheless, we have had some regions that have just been hammered by squalls. Here's the good news, though. As we take a look at what the conditions were like, the conditions now are improved because we have high pressure in place, in that the temperatures are going to rise quite rapidly to the point where we may be talking floods and maybe some high stream flow advisories could be coming our way from a slightly snowy one. And then later Friday, there will likely be some dense fog developing because the temperatures will be rising throughout the day. And we're going to go on Saturday. We're calling for, at this point, 7 degrees with rainfall, at times heavy rain from this system coming through. This is a vast change from what we've been experiencing. We may again see some flooding concerns with that coming our way on Saturday. But for the time being, tonight through tomorrow morning, again for the drive, we may see about 2 to 5 centimeters down through southwestern Ontario on the 401 corridor, and then lesser amounts as you go from Toronto through, say, Oshawa and eastern Ontario. So this is the interesting scenario. Water main breaks are possible here. We could be talking about flooding, 7 degrees with quite a bit of rainfall on the way. By Sunday, it dries up a bit. Monday, it looks like a rain-snow mix coming through with our next system. So certainly we'll be watching the conditions very closely with regard to what we had in the extreme cold and now the January thaw, essentially. That's not only affecting us, but also is warming up really across most of the east of the country. Conditions for now, however, big changes are coming by the time we get to Saturday, especially with a thawing out occurring to the point where we could be seeing at times some heavy rain that will possibly cause some flooding across southern Ontario, only because we have so much snow on the ground. In many cases, we're seeing major snow banks up into Orillia and up into Parry Sound, especially with those snow bands that were so heavy. We suspect there are some areas that have over 100 centimeters of snowfall. So even around, southern Ontario, of course, it's been poor driving for the last little while. We're going to have wind chills likely in about the minus 12 range. So you've got to definitely dress for those conditions. In terms of snowfall, what we have on the ground right now is in excess, as I was just mentioning, some areas up into Parry Sound, in excess of, and our legend only goes, 30 and above, but lots of snow on the ground. I suspect, though, that across southern Ontario, we're definitely going to be eating up some of that snow with the rainfall that's forecast to come in on Saturday. So you want to be not avoiding going outside. If you go outside, just dress for the conditions. It's going to be a warmer low-pressure system this time. So once this comes through, that is going to spread rain pretty much all over eastern Canada with this low. On the backside, it may briefly fall in the form of snow, but for the most part, that is a big rainmaker and some wind too. Then we've got our prairie system coming through. Once this arrives, that would be more so in the form of, say, rain and snow for Toronto. Now, the system that we're dealing with tonight into tomorrow morning will bring between 2 and 5 centimeters on the 401 corridor down from Kitchener-Waterloo to Windsor. If you're in Toronto and heading toward Kingston, then you're going to see less than 3 or 5 centimeters of snow. But again, we could be looking at a slightly slippery drive for the morning on Friday. The evening, it's going to be fog. We actually have some very dense fog developing because the temperatures are rising, and 7 degrees is the forecast on Saturday with rainfall expected. We'll likely hear about some flooding and some high stream flow advisories, possibly from conservation authorities with regard to the rain.